DJ Mafia, what's poppin'? Last week, the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff agreed to a multi-year extension, now making Jared Goff the second highest paid quarterback in NFL history in terms of an annual salary. Jared Goff signed a 4-year, $212 million contract with the Detroit Lions, including a $73 million signing bonus and $170 million of that in guaranteed money, with an average annual salary of $53 million a year. Now, where does that leave a guy like Trevor Lawrence, the former #1 overall pick in the 2021 NFL draft, who's now going to be entering his 4th season in the NFL and has had a very up and down start to the beginning of his career? We all know 2021 was an absolute disaster, not necessarily just for Trevor Lawrence, but the Jaguars organization as a whole. His 2 years under Doug Peterson, there's been flashes of incredible play, while there's also been inconsistencies, and it leaves the question, how much are the Jaguars willing to pay Trevor Lawrence, and what should the Jaguars pay Trevor Lawrence? It's exactly what we're going to be talking about here today. Now, when you take a look at the 10 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL as of right now, let's go down the list. I'll throw the graphic up on the screen for you guys to see. We've got Joe Burrow as the #1 highest paid quarterback in NFL history. Now, Jared Goff, Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, Deshaun Watson, Kirk Cousins, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen. Now, this graphic is simply based on an annual salary basis. Now, we all know Deshaun Watson became the highest paid guaranteed quarterback in NFL history a couple of seasons ago after the Cleveland Browns had traded for Deshaun Watson from the Houston Texans, giving him $230 million in guaranteed money. But now the Jaguars have a big-time decision to make with their franchise quarterback. And let's talk about Trevor Lawrence. Now, while I mentioned earlier that Trevor Lawrence is going to be going into the 4th year, in the final year of his rookie contract, the Jaguars did pick up his 5th-year option, as they should, which means that he's due to make $25.6 million in 2025-26. So that means that if he does get his extension this offseason, which I do believe he will get, that extension will not kick in until the 2026-27 NFL football season. As I mentioned earlier, Trevor Lawrence's 3 years in the NFL have been very sporadic and very up and down. Go to his rookie season with expectations coming out of Clemson to be a generational talent. He maybe didn't necessarily live up to that hype and that potential, but context matters and circumstances around him matter. In 2021, Trevor Lawrence finished with 3,641 yards passing, 12 touchdowns to 17 interceptions, had a 59.6 completion percentage, and a 39.1 quarterback rating. In Trevor Lawrence's first full season with a former Super Bowl winning head coach in Doug Peterson, in 2022, Trevor Lawrence finished the season with 4,113 yards, 25 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. He had a 66.3% completion percentage and a 56.1 quarterback rating. And if you take a look at 2022, the Jaguars were 3-7 before winning 6 out of their 7 final games to end the season, as they finished 9-8 atop of the AFC South, and they went on to win a postseason game after trailing 27-0, and the Jaguars came all the way back for the 3rd largest postseason comeback in NFL history, led by Trevor Lawrence. Over the final 7 games of the 2022 season, you saw Trevor Lawrence complete 69.7% of his passes, which was #1 in the NFL. 1,909 yards, number 3. He had a 14-1 touchdown interception ratio, which was the best over that stretch, and he had a 108.2 NFL passer rating, #1 in the NFL. He was among some of the most elite quarterbacks in the final 7 games of the 2022 season, with guys like Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes all in that conversation. And then you head into 2023, and the Jacksonville Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence had tremendous expectations placed upon their shoulders before CJ Stroud and the Houston Texans took this division right before our very eyes. And while the Jaguars did get banged up, and while Trevor Lawrence did sustain a lot of injuries in 2023, it was ultimately not his best season. And across the national media, there is hesitation and there has been reservations across many analysts as to why the Jaguars should pay Trevor Lawrence after a up and down start to his career in a rocky 2023 season. But let's actually talk about it. If you go back to 2023 and actually look at what Trevor Lawrence did, he finished with 4,016 passing yards, 21 touchdowns to 14 interceptions, had a 65.6% completion percentage and a 56.1 quarterback rating. And let me go ahead and put this graphic up on the screen for you guys to see. If you look at Trevor Lawrence's 2023 season, he was a middle-of-the-pack quarterback in terms of his NFL ranks. 14th in completion percentage, 10th in passing yards per game, 16th in passing yards attempted per game, tied for 15th in passing touchdowns, and tied for 28th in interceptions. Now, you could look at those stats at face value and say that Trevor Lawrence had a very sporadic 2023 season. The turnovers and the injuries may be a cause and a level of concern for many moving forward. But let's put this graphic up on the screen. Let's talk about Trevor Lawrence's first 12 games of the season, where the Jaguars were 8-4. They sat 8-3 atop of the AFC at one point. Let's look at Trevor Lawrence's numbers pre-injury and post-injury. The numbers are glaring. There is no way getting around Trevor Lawrence and this Jacksonville Jaguars team is a lot more successful when he is upright and healthy, and that goes for any quarterback in the association. Trevor Lawrence was not just dealing with an ankle sprain. He was also dealing with a knee injury, a throwing shoulder injury, a concussion. Trevor Lawrence had fought through so much adversity last season, especially with an offensive line that did not protect all that well for him. There was a non-existent run game. The play calling on offense was very sporadic. You had receivers, no names named, running wrong routes at times.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
And guys did not look like they were on the same page. The chemistry and the continuity was not there. You had guys banged up like Zay Jones, guys like Christian Kirk. Ultimately, the Jaguar season was destined to fail after all of these injuries had piled up. And you take a look at Trevor Lawrence's numbers, what he's able to do through the first 12 games of the season, healthy and upright, versus the last 4 games, it is night and day. Now, having said all of that, where does that leave the Jaguars, Trent Baalke, and this entire organization when it comes to paying Trevor Lawrence? Doug Peterson has repeatedly said him and the front office are working relentlessly in order to get this deal done with Trevor Lawrence. They want to make sure that his market value as of right now is going to be at the lowest it'll ever be in his career. The longer you wait, especially for a quarterback, the price and the value is only going to go up. And the best example of that was a couple of seasons ago, before Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys had paid Dak Prescott his earned and well-deserved money. They kept holding out, and ultimately they caved in and they paid Dak Prescott a whole lot more money than they would have needed to. And the same position could be applied for a guy like Jaguars outside linebacker Josh Allen, who put together a career-high 17.5 sacks this season, became the Jaguars' second all-time leader in sacks, and broke the franchise record for most sacks in a single season. While the Jaguars did not reach a long-term contract extension with a guy like Josh Allen prior to the season, they waited to the last minute. They did use the franchise tag on him, but they ultimately were able to get a contract extension done with him. But of course, because he put together a career-high season, you're going to have to pay him at a higher value in market, as what the market said. And Jeremy Fowler of ESPN has reported on a multitude of occasions that Trevor Lawrence is going to be making north of $50 million annually, which is going to make him one of the 6 highest paid quarterbacks in all of football, which I completely agree with. While he might not be a top 6 quarterback in all of football right now, he very well is turning into one. Trevor Lawrence absolutely deserves that money. You're going to lock down your franchise quarterback and make sure you can not only build and restructure your team moving forward, you have your guy locked up for the future, and now you can actually put all the right pieces around him moving forward with the cap. Now, if I'm Trent Baalke in the Jaguars front office, I'm doing this deal with Trevor Lawrence today, and I'm getting this deal done. I'm giving Trevor Lawrence a 4-year, $215 million contract, $75 million in a salary bonus, $171 million of that in guaranteed money, which is going to put him at about $53.75 million annually, making him the second highest paid quarterback in all of football, only behind Joe Burrow, the first overall pick in the 2020 draft. And that is somewhere around this number that I expect Trevor Lawrence to get paid and for that deal to get done. I expect it to be slightly higher than a guy like Jared Goff, who has taken his team to the Super Bowl, who has taken the Detroit Lions to the NFC Championship game and has had a lot of success. But the way the quarterback market works is when one guy gets paid, typically the next guy up is going to make more money than him, especially Trevor Lawrence, who's shown flashes, shown potential at 24 years of age. Expect him to become the second highest paid quarterback in all of football. I would not be surprised. And the last thing to say with all of this is I firmly believe that the Jaguars organization and Trevor Lawrence's camp are working relentlessly to get this deal done because you want that insurance for your quarterback and you want him in the back of his mind to know that the deal is done. You can stop worrying about contract negotiations and you can move forward with strictly just playing football moving forward. Jags fans, please let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Do you believe that the Jaguars should pay Trevor Lawrence right now? And if so, how much money should they be willing to pay him? I say make him the second highest paid quarterback in all of football. Give him a 4-year, $215 million contract, $171 million of it in guaranteed money, which is going to put him at $53.75 million annually. And Jags fans, if you guys appreciate the work and the content that I make here on YouTube, make sure you guys go ahead and drop me a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe bell to stay tuned for more Jaguars content that I do here on YouTube. And make sure that you guys also go ahead and follow me on my socials, especially on Twitter. I'm very active and I'm on there every single day. The link tree will be in the description down below so that you guys can go ahead and check that out. But Jags fans, thanks again for sticking around throughout the whole video. Brett James, aka BJ, I'm out, y'all. And like always, let's go Jags.